In Pakistan, 1,000 Islamic clerics and scholars have demanded that Pope Benedict XVI be removed from his position immediately for encouraging war and fanning hostility between various faiths and making insulting remarks against Islam. Just to make sure that we all understand that Islam is a religion of peace, they added, if the West does not change its stance regarding Islam, it will face severe consequences. Meanwhile, a new Palestinian jihad group announced, every place relevant to Christians will be a target until the cursed infidel, the Vatican, apologizes to Muslims. Last Friday, after Jummah prayers in which the weekly sermon is preached, Muslims in Gaza burned and vandalized 7 Christian sites, including a 1,400-year-old church. Meanwhile, a nun in Somalia and another Christian in Iraq have been killed, and others threatened worldwide, including, of course, the Pope himself. This past Friday, a Pakistani cleric called for him to be crucified, and other jihad groups have threatened to send suicide bombers to the Vatican and demanded that he be handed over to Muslims. What can be done to end all this? Pakistan's President Pervez Musharraf has an idea. At the UN this week, he said it is imperative to end racial and religious discrimination against Muslims and to prohibit the defamation of Islam. He's not the first to call for this. After some Danish cartoons of Muhammad touched off global riots last winter, several Muslim leaders asked the UN to do the same thing, prohibit the defamation of Islam. Australia's Victoria State has already done so, and has convicted 2 Christian preachers for speaking about Islam in politically incorrect ways. This is about more than free speech. Classic Islamic law stipulates that Christians may live in peace in Islamic societies as long as they accept second-class status as dhimmis, which involves living within certain limits, not holding authority over Muslims, paying a special tax, not building new churches or repairing old ones, and not insulting Allah or Muhammad. If Muslims believe that a Christian has insulted them, even inadvertently, his contract of protection, dhimma, is voided. That's what's behind this sign, held up by protesters in Pakistan, Mr. Pope, be within your limits. What limits? These protesters are warning the Pope not to step out of the bounds that Islamic law sets for non-Muslims, or else. And why not? After all, so many in the West have been willing, even eager, to accept such limits. Witness the chastened reaction to the cartoon rage riots, in which church officials, government leaders, and others solemnly pontificated against insults to religious figures. But it wasn't really a question of blasphemy then, and it isn't a question of insult now. It is a question of whether non-Muslims will submit to Muslim standards and restrictions on their speech, thought, and behavior.